So when I got to Rivermont, I was hired about 2 weeks before school started last year. And just upon entering the building, the first thing I noticed was that there wasn't a sense of pride in the building.
In my first classroom here, we were trying to build a culture and a climate of respect, responsibility, of taking care of things, but when you looked around the space, the image didn't match the culture and the climate that we were wanting to build. So it was super hard to get children and even families invested in a space that looked like no one cared about it.
So when we first started talking about renovating Rivermont, it was a little bit of an overwhelming conversation just because there seemed to be so much that needed to be done. But we did know that Normal Park up the street had done a big renovation about a decade ago now at this point. And so we knew it could be done.
Once we really made a decision as a steering committee to move forward with this initiative, we started with 7 priority classrooms that just had to be done. They were just falling apart. And what we found is that they got adopted so quickly that then we opened up Tier 2. And then before long, the whole school was not only opened, but adopted.
During Renovate Rivermont, the most important thing I as an individual had the power to do was get the word out. So that was talking to businesses that I knew, talking to individuals that I knew that had time to get involved, and getting other people excited about donating their time, talent, energy, creativity to the process. Physically, what I did is I helped get the PTA, which I'm now a part of, to become the adoptor of one of the rooms. So the Rivermont PTA actually adopted a room. My husband happens to be an artist, so he helped design some cool stuff for the teacher and the kids. And I worked with some new families to make it happen, so it was pretty exciting.
It shows, number one, that the community does want to help. I think everyone wants to help, they just need some really specific ways that they can. So we had people, we could put out a call on Facebook one day for hand sanders, and hand sanders came in. We put out a call one day for ladders, and ladders came in. So I think it just goes to show that our community does want to support the public schools. We've just got to let them know how.
So we utilize social media a lot, but also word of mouth, and then signup.com, so that it was super organized so that you knew exactly when and what you were supposed to be doing. Because let's face it, we live in a time where everyone is busy. And so utilizing those social media tools and those online tools let people know that they could commit, but it was specific in what they had to do.
I think that community ownership is probably one of the most successful pieces of this project. This was not a project that was done by one group behind a closed door and then handed to another. This was a project that was truly adopted by the whole community. And that's what will create sustainable change. It's one thing to paint the walls and to get things cleaned up and looking great, but we all know years down the road, we're gonna need it to still be state-of-the-art and to still look fantastic. And when you have community buy-in at every level, that's how you're going to guarantee future success.
Leadership from the school itself. It's the place where it's happening. It's gotta come from there. I think you also have to have really good buy-in and involvement from the teachers and parents, and preferably kids, but parents can kind of stand in for them as well. So really kind of broad involvement. And then lastly, I think you've really got to have a way to manage it all. So these kinds of things, they don't just happen. It's a great story to think that everybody wants to do this good work and therefore it just kind of magically happens. But at the end of the day, I do think you have to have a team of people, or even just a couple people, who are, for the time period that it's being planned and then when it's being executed, to really manage it.
So what did we see change? We saw walls that hadn't been touched in years, that were just grimy, become fresh again, and that was from dozens and dozens of volunteers that put the hours into making them fresh. We saw classrooms being reimagined when designers and teachers came together and talked about what a day in the life of a first grader was like, or a fifth grader, and what that space needed, so that when those kids came back at the beginning of the year, they would feel like, whoa, my community really cares about me. I have a brand new place to play and learn and grow and create. So we saw the space start to rise to meet what the community and the faculty had already started doing here, which was to reimagine this little school that no one had really thought much of for the past several years. The greatest thing you can do is to begin to be a part of that solution. So jump in, talk, listen, engage, because you can reimagine anything and no telling what it can become.